Being intentional about growth is a problem. Kasi a lot of people, dinisip nila, after ko graduate, yun na yun. That's my education. I'll stop there. Don't let your schooling interfere with your education. Don't let yourself get into that trap. Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. We have a question from Mitch. What are the things we should consider before investing in an IPO?
I think the same pa rin, no? The methodology still has not changed. Pagpapasok ka sa stock market, it's the same as you entering a normal stock na listed sa stock market. Yung difference lang pag hindi pa siya listed sa stock market is first time ma-introduce yung shares. Pero the same way on how you analyze stocks, it should not change. Meaning you come in because you want to have a piece of a business. You want to come in because you think that the company sa presyong binibili mo ngayon will have great long-term growth. Tapos, pag magte-trade ka naman, yung difference lang pag IPO, if you are a fan of technical analysis, you won't be able to use charts muna before it comes out. The only time you get to use charts is pag nasa market na siya. So if you want to trade them pagkalabas, you want to use the charts, you can use mga 15-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour charts when they start coming in sa market. So ganun. And that's how I would do it.
Andre, by the way, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the question. Are you also trading in the Forex market? If ever, maybe we can collaborate in a project with our company. I'm working with Multibank Group. We have an advocacy to spread financial literacy.
I don't. But yeah, just email our team. We work with brands naman. So if ever you need, personally, at the most, no, US dollar lang. Pero I'm not really a Forex trader eh. For some reason, mas sanay ako for stocks. And then cryptos kasi, the reason why I like it, because I think you are investing in something that's cutting edge. You are investing in something that's very, very new, very, very exciting. And you're forcing yourself to study. So yung style ko lang sa Forex, there are certain times that the dollar drops a lot. So, ganun din. I'll give you another example pa. Sa Forex, pwede ka kasi mag-short eh. So, dun lumalabas yung background ko sa stock investor/trader that pag bumabagsak yung isang currency, kahit sa crypto to, kahit sa US markets to, hindi ko inisip pag-short. Inisip ko, pag bagsak mo, sasaluhin kita. So, that's where the background being a stock person comes in, that yung normal person na Forex talaga, tingin nila babagsak to, breakdown to, I will short. Ako, background sa stocks, hindi kita siya short, pero pag bagsak, sasaluhin kita din. Once you start bouncing again, I'll sell you at the resistance. So there. Madami magaling sa Forex. I'm not really a Forex guy. So, yun.
From Patrick, question, who do you consider your mentors in life? So, for me, if you have more mentors for different areas of life, kasi hindi naman magaling ang isang mentor, kaya na niyang i-mentor yung all areas of your life that you want to grow in. So, I would say, like, get one mentor per one area of your life that you want to grow in. For example, for stocks, it's definitely Marvin. And it didn't have to be like a long mentorship relationship. Sometimes I just ask him via Facebook Messenger, like, what does he think about this? What his insights are about either this stock or this cryptocurrency. And then for finance, I have a different mentor. For my spiritual walk, which is a discipline, an everyday discipline, I have a different mentor. For business, especially when I was starting to try and understand valuation of a business. How do you sell a business? How do you value a share? Iba yung naging mentor ko rin dun. So, it would depend on what part of your life you want to grow in. You have to be very specific about it. I learned that we fall into the trap of thinking na we grow personally in all areas of life just by living. That's not true. And that's because nung lumalaki tayo, tumatanda tayo, from a child, we grow taller, we grow bigger, we grow faster, we can do a lot more things, we're more knowledgeable, we grow a little bit wiser with some experience in life. We get a lot of these things. And we think that growth is automatic. Here's the problem. Growth is not automatic. In fact, after you graduate school, whether high school or college or postgraduate, you don't learn new things anymore unless you're intentional about your growth. So being intentional about growth is a problem. Kasi a lot of people, dinisip nila, after ko graduate, yun na yun. That's my education. I'll stop there. don't let your schooling interfere with your education. Don't let yourself get into that trap. Get mentors, because after you graduate school, they're going to be the ones who will hyperspeed your growth in terms of wisdom, what you want to learn in business, what you want to learn in stock trading, investing. Get mentors in those areas. Always desire and pursue growth. Be intentional.
What I do is kung meron akong kilala na mas madaming alam sa akin, nagtatanong lang ako. So parang gano'n. So kunyari may gusto akong malaman sa'yo about SEO, ini-message lang kita kaagad, "Oh, okay ba 'to?" Gano'n. Or kunyari kay si Carlo Ople, may pinag-usapan natin yung Satan na rubber shoes. Parang, "Oh, ano ang take mo dito?" Gano'n. So kung meron akong hindi alam, I just like asking, and I think that's where I learn. So pati sa mga investments that I try to learn as much as I can, pero I try to learn also from experience.
From Clester, what's your biggest mistake on handling your employees, or maybe your biggest challenge when it comes to handling your people, and what did you do? Clester, I think one of the biggest mistakes, ito na lang sasabihin ko, not developing myself. And one of my biggest mistakes. When you're a leader, kasi a lot of people look at you. They look at you, they listen to what you say, they hold you to a much higher standard than they hold themselves or other people. So the problem is, magkamali ka lang, para sa kanila, maling mali na yun. And I would say, maybe one of my biggest mistakes, I should have developed myself better in that area. I'm a leader who gets things done. I'm a high D. It's so easy to make me happy. Do a good job, I'm happy. So easy to make me mad. Do a bad job, I get mad. So I should develop myself better in a way na I shouldn't just be happy when you do a good job. I should be happy because you're part of my team. And I shouldn't get mad just because you did bad output. I shouldn't get mad at all because at least you tried. Unless it's repeated mistakes and fatal mistakes, then I still shouldn't get mad. I should just talk with you, sit you down, think if I goofed off in training you. If I did goof off, nagloko-loko ako, hindi kita train mabuti, kasalanan ko yun. But if I did, then maybe it's time for us to shake hands and tell each other, this is as far as we go and no further shall we go together. We have to part ways. So I guess I would say that's my biggest mistake in handling employees. Also, I have the tendency to call out mistakes publicly. I'm impatient that way. And I would say, don't do that because you lose your people's loyalty that way fast. And I'm aware of that now, but before I wasn't. So I committed that mistake more than I would like. Biggest challenge, handling your people. I would say biggest challenge is, so there was a time when I was always out of the office because I'm the only one doing sales and accounts management in our company. So I would be meeting clients mostly every day, and I'm rarely in the office. So gossip and slander just ran amok in the office because my time is really super short, super short. So I would usually just delegate what I need to do and then work. Delegate what I need to do and then work. And I didn't control the culture. So the culture built itself. You're going to have a problem when the culture builds itself and you're not the one directing where you want it to go. So you're going to have a problem with that. And it's because it's going to morph into a monster, a mutant that you don't like. And in our case, a lot of gossip, a lot of slandering. It's really, really bad. And I'd say that's one of the challenges for me during that time because I didn't know anymore how to deal with it. And we had to have a reset in terms of culture. So we had a mass exit with people just leaving almost dire-derecho, no? And then we had to hire quickly. Thank God we had process documents already done. So it's easy for us to just train people who are new and coming in. Super easy for us. And yeah, that's what we did. It was a very tough time, very, very challenging time. But thank God we were able to pull through. All right, guys, thank you so much. That's all the time we're going to be having tonight. Thank you so much and keep safe always. Guys, God bless and see you again next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mabuhay. Mabuhay.
Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
We've only been upticking in the market. It's getting better and better and better. In the last 4 years have been phenomenal. One of the best, robust economic markets we've ever had. Phenomenal. Pandemic came up. and kicked us right between the legs, and we're all doubled over. Holy smokes, that hurts. And so those that only had that, oh, I'm on the ride to the top, I only need to do this one thing, is now in trouble.
Most public companies, they're a slave to one thing, and that's, giving value to their shareholders. Value means profit. We're a business too. We need to make profit to be in business and sustain the long run. However, it's our theory that when you put your people over the profits, that usually the profits take care of themselves. And that was shown to us, almost a fact during this past year of the pandemic.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22.
I would tell the entrepreneur, yes, you want to try to find the right person and the right personality fit who can do the job. But really, whoever you hire is only going to be as good as you can train them. I would say that just do it. You're going to make a mistake. You're not going to hire the right person. And that's fine. You start over and you do it again. But the more times you do it, the easier it becomes.
With the pandemic, with 1,600 employees, you mentioned earlier that you guys were over communicating. And I heard from someone that no one ever left his job because the leadership over communicated. That is an amazing, amazing thing to do. But I'm wondering, with the 1,600 people, were there ever a problem that began in terms of like they wanted you to support them? Because here in the Philippines, we didn't get any support from the government. In fact, the government expected SMEs and business owners like myself to be the one to give support to our people. And the business owners themselves have also been stricken around by the pandemic. So it is very, very difficult. And there are some people who are upset about that because some business owners just cannot give anything, Did that happen to you guys, and how did you deal with that?
I made alluded to it earlier that we look at our team members as an extension of our family. And that's in one word to describe our culture at ABC, it is family. So we're not going to rely on any external force, being whatever you want to call it, to take care of our family. We're going to do everything that we can and everything that we think is the right thing to do to protect our family members. And we were doing things to help support and protect our team. The CDC over here in the States, the Center for Disease Control, they would put out their recommendations for guidelines on what to do. And once they put them out, we would look at them and go, we're already doing this. We've already been doing it for weeks, sometimes months. So we're going to be ahead of the curve with a lot of things because of the perspective that we take, that we actually do put people over profits because we can. Because most public companies, they're a slave to one thing, and that's, giving value to their shareholders. Value means profit. We're a business too. We need to make profit to be in business and sustain the long run. However, it's our theory that when you put your people over the profits, that usually the profits take care of themselves. And that was shown to us, almost a fact during this past year of the pandemic, for sure.
I'm wondering, what other values does your culture intentionally hold on to aside from people over profits? You seem like you have a very strong company culture, and it seems, it's 4 generations. Hello, it should be, right? But culture is going to be built whether you are intentional about it or not. a lot of companies are not. They're just like, culture happens, just let it happen, just let employees run culture, right? Or let the HR run culture. But it has to be a top down thing where the leaders would intentionally shape it for it to be a healthy culture that people would like to work in. I'm wondering, are there other principles or values that are core to your business that shape your culture?
Our mission statement is pretty easy. It's we make everyday celebrations better for our team members and guests. And we have the word team members in front of guests for that very reason. And we have 3 core values that drive behavior. And those 3 core values are the words respect, inspire, and empower. And again, they're pretty easy to follow. We can get in a deeper conversation around each of those 3. And when we're training somebody at ABC and we're onboarding them, we're going to go deeper, but just a high level for your listeners. Respect, respect yourself, respect the team members, respect the business, respect the foundation of the company, respect the guests and the vendors that come in our stores. My 5-year-old knows what respect means. So it's not like someone can say, well, what does respect mean? We know the difference between right and wrong. It's pretty simple. That's all we intend it to be. We don't intend it to be much deeper than that. Just the difference between right and wrong. Inspire people with what you're doing. Inspire yourself. And then lastly, empower. We do have a culture of empowerment where we've got our rules, we've got policies, we've got our code of ethics and all the things like that you have to have when you have this many team members. But there's a ton of leeway. We hire people from much bigger corporations all the time that come to us, and I see the look of awe on their face after a month or two, and they're like, they cannot believe how empowering we are and the leeway that we allow our team members to operate with to make decisions. And it's certainly going to vary from area to area and time of the year and all those things. But those 3 core values drive the behavior, and our mission statement really drives all decision making. That we're going to look after the team member first before the guest, because if we do that, then we're going to take care of the guest.
That's awesome. Charlie, I learned a lot from you tonight. And if people want to get in touch with you because of your amazing story and how you guys are just doing things over there at ABC, how can they best reach you?
Yeah, my LinkedIn profile, Charlie Bales, and shoot me a message, connect with me. I'd love to hear from anybody. I'm also fairly active on Twitter. CE Bales is the name. I'm sure we can put that in the notes. Those are the 2 socials that I use. And yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody. Please reach out to me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on your podcast, Sean, and hear from you. And it's cool to be talking to somebody on the other side of the world too. What a time to be alive, right?
Yep, what a time to be alive. I certainly agree. And Charlie, it's my pleasure to have you here on the show. I learned a lot from you. I'm sure the listeners tuning in are also learning a lot. And I'll have your LinkedIn and your Twitter link on the show notes in leadershipstack.com.
I do this because I just love talking to really awesome people like yourself, just sharing what I can, because we all have this ultimate goal of just making the world a better place. And that's certainly my personal mission. I hope your listeners got something out of this. Prioritize yourself, being one of them, if not the most important one, because you're going to be useless to everybody if you don't take care of yourself. Maybe that should be the title of my book, right? Prioritize yourself. There you go.
Yeah, dude, you should write a book. You should write a book. I see a lot of the stuff I did with how much you love doing what you do. I would encourage you, dude, to write, just write it. Just write a book, an ebook, whatever it is, start a podcast, how you can, because I'm sure you can help a ton of people, a whole lot of people by what you do. You have the authority, you have the position, you have the knowledge, you have the story, you've gone through the gauntlet, you have it. It's just putting it out there. And I'm so honored that I'm doing this with you now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your words, and I'm honored to be here with you as well, man.
Charlie, thanks so much. Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
There will be a point in time that it will go down. It will go down, it will correct, it will crash, because that's how things normally go. Then assuming na maganda yung fundamentals niya, it will also go back up again. Pero yung question that people need to realize is this: in the midst of that loss, what do they do?
All right. Hey, everyone. I am not going to show the usual ad as I usually do. We're just going to go and hop in and answer the questions tonight with Miss Tony Aquino. We're going to have her again on the show, which is amazing, considering she's a very busy person, especially with all of the media showcases that's happening with her. And shoot us your question. We have the Discord channel. We have a couple of really interesting questions tonight from Vian, Nino, Mitch, Erica, and a couple of other people. And we are going to have these questions on the show. So, who's excited to have Tony here? I know I am, and I know you guys are. So, without further ado, Tony Aquino.
Hello, hi. It's always such an honor to be part of your show, even though this is, I think, is this the third time?
Third time.
Third
But
time.
seems like it's we could do this all the time, no problem, right? I have
Of
my
course.
talks that I'm just the only one speaking here. The show ends up so early because when I answer, it's just so direct, so straight, and
Mhm.
people get tired of my face. So it's good to have guests. It's good to have you around, Tony.
Mhm. Again,
So
thank
how's
you
it
for having
been?
me here. I'm doing okay. As you've mentioned, been busy being a content creator, a TikToker, even,
Yeah.
jogging and then doing the other. I'm kidding. I don't want to say it here. Baka maano ko. Okay, but hello. Hi to Sean's fans and to the other viewers here who might have been following me on TikTok for a while. Hello, welcome.
Yeah, I am following you as well on TikTok, and really good stuff. You how many times do you publish a week?
Maybe at most 3, but I try to do once every 2 days if kaya. Mhm.
Once every 2 days. Wow. All right.
Once every
So
2 days.
this is your TikTok. Let me get that there. For those of you who are on TikTok or who are even not on TikTok, but you want to follow Tony Aquino, there you go. That's her URL, tiktok.com/@Antoinette Aquino.
Actually, just to, sorry to interrupt, but there's an underscore then kasi
There's an
taken na yung
underscore.
Antoinette Aquino. Oo, so it's Antoinette Aquino _.
Got it. There you go. See how fast
Okay.
our tech team is? I'm the one typing that.
Yan. So I usually post content about personal finance, well, everything under personal finance, insurance, and investing also. So if you're looking for bite-sized content, quick to consume, you can go ahead to my TikTok account.
Perfect. So, Tony, what do you say? Should we start answering questions?
Game. I'm ready. Go.
All right, here's one from America. I'm interested in stocks but don't know where to start. What would you recommend as an advisor?
Well, what's good about stocks is that it's a very accessible investment, especially for beginners, because you can start with a low amount, and at the same time it can be easy to learn. So what's good about it is that, like for example, if you invested in Ayala Corporation or AC in 2014, in 2018, it was around 970 per share. So back in 2014, it was about 512. So parang nag-double siya, diba, in 4 years. And you won't be able to find that in a bank, diba? It would take you maybe around 72 years before your investment doubles. So
Wow.
the three main reasons why Oh, diba? Medyo matagal. So, usually the main reasons why a lot of people would hesitate to invest in the stock market is number one, they don't know how. Number two, they have that fear. And number three, a lot of people who've invested in the stock market um, probably just followed rumors and ended up losing a lot. So for you to get started, you have to overcome those three hurdles. And that would be number one, of course, educating yourself. So the first thing that you should do is learn the ins and outs of stock market investing. So that's the terminology, ano nga ba yung mga strategies that you can apply. And then after that, you can open a stock brokerage account and then buy your first stock. Ganun siya. So I
Do
hope that
you
answered your question.
do you help out with people, Tony, for those who go to you and ask you, hey, can you help me open my first stock brokerage account and stuff? Do you do that as well?
Yes, yes. Actually, I have lots of TikTok videos teaching people how to do that. How to open a stock brokerage account, how to buy your first stock, how much you should start with. But if you want it to be personalized, then I also help out my clients with that. So actually, even if you just message me on Instagram and you ask questions like that, I'd be able to entertain that too.
Ayan, napaka-helpful naman ni Tony, no? So,
Of course.
for me, I learned it all from Marvin Guillermo. Great guy. Can't promote him enough. Really good stuff. And you can also check out his YouTube channel. I am indebted to him when it comes to my stock trading prowess, and I'm not that great. So, but he's really good.
Yeah, that should have just been the answer. So there's a YouTube channel named Marvin Guillermo. Just go to that if you don't know where to start.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people want it personalized. So if you help them, there you go, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Antoinette Aquino. So, second question: which U.S. stocks would you recommend for beginners?
Recommend. Okay, so but first thing before I say my answer, just I want to give this disclaimer: don't transact or don't buy stocks just because you hear it from me or just because you hear it from Sean. So, like going by Marvin Guillermo's words, investing in U.S. stocks even is all about conviction. So take the time to build your conviction on it. But how I do it personally is I like to separate it into two categories. So one is more on future US stocks that I know have potential value to grow in the future. And then the second category would be branded stocks. So these are stocks that already have a large presence. We all know them, they're familiar to us. So if you want to choose what US stocks to invest in, focus on the sectors that you have conviction in. So, like for example, there are tech stocks which I believe have potential to grow or make you money in the future. Like for example, a lot of people are now entering the EV market. People are now switching to sustainable stocks, and more people are buying electric cars, right? And I believe that 10, 15 years from now, we're all going to shift to that system. So that's why a lot of people would invest in stocks like Tesla or even NIO, right? But for example, if you want to go for stocks that focus on streaming or online platforms like Facebook or Zoom or Netflix, I think we've seen in the beginning of the pandemic that Zoom boomed because there was a demand for it. So I still believe that even after the pandemic, once everything cools down, people would still be using Zoom because now we've sort of realized that we can do everything online now. We can have meetings through Zoom. So that's why I also personally invest in platforms like that. Well, another thing would also be fintech stocks. So fintech stocks like PayPal or Square also have a lot of potential because more and more people are doing cashless transactions now, and it would be, more and more people prefer that because we're trying to limit contact and all of that. But let's say if you want to be more passive, you want less hands-on approach, then Warren Buffett advocates index fund investing. So the index fund basically it tracks the S&P 500 or like the Fortune 500 companies. So if you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about what stock from the 500 to buy, then you can just simply own every piece of that stock in the Fortune 500. So that's what an index fund is. You can look up Vanguard's growth fund. That's what I like, the VOO, or the Schwab S&P 500 there.
There you go. I think busog na kayo dun sa advice. Ang dami nun, no? If you guys are gonna ask me, I'd just say Google. But that's because I'm in the SEO industry.
Right. Well, because I'm trying to be careful when people ask me questions like this. I don't want to be so particular about just 3 stocks or all of that. Gusto ko i-explain na may mga iba-ibang sectors that people can explore. And right, use Google, diba? If you believe in fintech companies, go search if they're a publicly traded company, and you can buy US stocks or shares from that company.
Yeah, that's true. True that. So those are good stocks, all of those that Tony mentioned earlier. And yeah, I'm also not that great when it comes to stock trading or investing. I do have a lot of stocks kasi nga hindi nga ako magaling, so marami na lang akong biniling iba-ibang most of them blue chip, like Google, Tesla, one of them.
Right.
Yeah, if you're not that risky, want to play it safe, those Zoom, Facebook, obviously they're making a lot of money now, so can't go wrong with buying those stocks.
True. And another thing that I want to point out is also e-commerce. So you're in the digital marketing space, and stocks or companies like Amazon, diba, Alibaba, Shopify, or Etsy, they all disrupt the retail space. So if you believe that 10 or 15 years from now, everyone's gonna switch to e-commerce, then best to get into those stocks now while it's still at its low, or it's still undervalued.
Yeah, true that. And ang daming software na nag-IPO recently. So some of them, by the way, this is again for me then, disclaimer, this is not an endorsement. These are very risky stocks because they just went IPO, but they are softwares that I personally know from 7 years ago or somewhere there. Monday.com, SEMrush went IPO. Payoneer went IPO. These are companies I know from way back, and finally they got the traction and the funds to go IPO right now in the US, and you can buy them if you have a US brokerage account now. So there's still pasimula pa lang.
Okay. So well, speaking of opening a brokerage account, it's very easy to do one. Actually, there's an app that allows you to invest even for as low as $1, which is called GoTrade. So you can even explore that. It's open to Filipino-based users as well. And there you'll be able to see yung mga trending stocks. You'll be able to see fundamentals of each company. Well, I made a TikTok video about it too, so you can check that out under the Global Stocks playlist ng TikTok account. Todo promote.
There you go.
Okay.
There, ano pangalan niya? GoTrade?
GoTrade, yeah.
GoTrade. Check that out in Tony Aquino's TikTok account. I'm sure you have an explanation there, which is going to be really nice for people who want to start doing it. No? $1.
I do. I have a whole review. I have a tutorial even on how to buy and how to open an account. So you can check that out.
There you go. Now, UITFs. What are the benefits of UITFs?
Benefits. So first, let's define what the UITF is, just in case other people don't know it. So it's called the Unit Investment Trust Fund, and it's basically where you join other investors and entities to form a trust fund. So it's usually handled by a fund manager or a trust expert. And what happens is that in that fund, it's invested with a portfolio of stocks, my bonds. There are also money market and other types of funds. So in ETF, you'll basically earn from the gain or the loss from the fund performance. So it's different from a mutual fund, which is what other people get confused of. Because in mutual fund, you have shareholder rights. diba, when you own a piece of that fund. But for the UITF, you don't. So you earn from the fund performance. And what's good about the UITF is because it's being handled by a fund manager, then that's less work for you, diba? All you need to do is to have that capital to invest in a UITF and choose your risk appetite. And another benefit to that is that there's a wide range or variety of funds that you can choose from. So it will still depend on your goals. It will depend on your risk appetite. And another thing that I like about UITFs is that there's no entry fees, or it isn't as the management fees aren't as costly compared to mutual funds. So those are the pros of a UITF.
Got it. I've invested in UITFs before, actually.
Before.
Yeah,
Do you still hold it?
It's still open. It's been a decade now. But as the stock market it went up, I didn't withdraw because I was there for the long game, and now it went down again, and still I have no idea what happened to that anymore because it's not a big amount of money. I just told the bank, "Oh, put in a small amount every month." And they do that. They can do that for you. So they'll put in a small amount every month. And last time I checked, which was maybe 2 years ago, it didn't make money. No, so but again, that depends on the market, and that depends on
Yeah,
your
the type of
outlook.
fund also.
Yeah. So, grabe, ang daming pwedeng investments, no? Daming pwedeng investments.
True. And yung UITFs kasi it's really recommended for long-term investors. So you won't really see that much gain in the first 7 years. So you have to wait for longer than that to actually see results. So UITFs are for long-term investors, hindi yung mga mid-term or short-term.
Pero grabe yung sinabi mo kanina, no? If you left it in a bank 72 years, parang buong buhay mo na yun, no?
Kaya nga so invest. Ayan. Yeah, basically, yun yung sinasabi ko to convince people to start investing. Kasi diba, there are a lot who are still very hesitant. But diba, yun yung sinasabi ko palagi. I always say that it will take 72 years for your money to double in the bank. Whereas if you invest it, it can just take maybe more or less 4 years for it to double.
Yeah. Or if you're Marvin Guillermo.
If you're Marvin Gaye, baka more
In a
than
month.
that. Diba? Baka in a day. Baka 5
In a
minutes
day.
pa nga he can make. He can double it already.
Yeah. Grabe yun. Okay. How do I know if I'm a high risk or a low risk trader?
Well, you can take a risk profile assessment. Ganun lang. There are lots of risk profile assessments online. But for you to identify it na, kunwari, yung tinatamad ka, it's based on 2 factors. Time horizon and your capital. So normally, if your time horizon is relatively short, then you're forced to sell, or there's a possibility that you can sell at a significant loss. So that's why it's riskier. Whereas, diba, if you invest long term, even though you have losses along the way, you can still recuperate. Another factor, going back to the second one, which is your capital. Basically, the amount of money that you can afford to lose will determine your risk tolerance. So, ayun yun, the more money you can actually use to trade, and if you're willing to lose all of it, then you're technically a high-risk trader. Yun lang yun. And you,
Yeah.
how about you, Sean? What would you say? Are you a high-risk or a low-risk trader?
I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle.
Middle,
But
moderate.
because of Marvin Guillermo's hype, napa-high risk tuloy ako. No. But yeah, so I think I should have put less on my crypto. That's what I think right now. But maybe it's just because crypto is down. But yeah, I would say somewhere above average, maybe. Above average, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Ikaw ba?
Okay. Actually, I would say I'm not a trader. I'm not an active trader compared to Marvin Gerbo also. But like what you're saying about crypto, I think I have maybe about 10% of my portfolio in crypto. So it's not majority of it. It's not the biggest part. But again, it's the money that I'm willing to lose. Kahit ma-zero, okay lang ako.
Yeah, somewhere there. Same.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's for me. It might have been too many. But yeah. So
You put too
high
much
risk,
back.
you're probably somewhere same, right? Above average risk. No?
I would say I'm a high risk
High
investor.
risk.
High risk. I'm in that. And I
Yeah.
think it has a lot to do with age. So age
Yeah.
reveal.
Yeah, super super young. Yeah.
Ano ulit ID number mo?
105.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
118.
118. There you go. So minus 13. Minus 13. Ilan taon na ba ako? I'm turning 33. So yeah, there you go. Do the math.
33 ba? Oh, okay.
Turning 33. Yeah. So, from Mitch, can you tell us the story, ayan, kwentuhan tayo, of how you grew the Money Health Check Facebook community?
Oh, so just the Facebook group. Well, okay, sige.
Yeah.
Kwento ko na lang yung brand itself. So basically, Money Health Check is a brand born out of my passion for teaching about financial literacy. So normally, when they hear of Money Health Check, they think or the person behind it has always been very good with money, but that wasn't always the case, diba? Because there are also a lot of people who would say money can't buy happiness. But in reality, that doesn't mean that finances can't affect your well-being. So, diba, if your financial health is in bad conditions, then it's going to affect several aspects of your life. So, that's why I feel as if you want to improve your well-being, then you also have to take care of your money health. And in my setting, or the way I grew up, is we avoided talking about money because we thought that it's going to just cause stress, but it's going to cause a lot of arguments. So tendency is we would just avoid the topic. And then when I graduated and I started earning my own money, nahirapan ako dun. I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to open a bank account even. I didn't know how to invest. So I feel as if you do several checkups to your financial health, just like how you would with your physical health, then you can better manage your financial stress. And in result, then it's going to lead you to your financial goals, and it's going to improve your overall wellness. So that's why it's called Money Health Check. And because I was consistently posting on TikTok, I sort of led my followers to a Facebook group wherein they can also ask questions and other people in the group can answer. So instead of sa TikTok nagiging one way lang siya, in the Facebook group, we get to interact two ways. So it's very similar to Sean's Discord, the Leadership Stack Discord, wherein people can ask questions and, you really get to connect with your community there. So that's how the Facebook group was born.
Yeah. And so, yeah, community is super important. If you are, especially like Tony, she's not doing it really for money or getting paid to do this. It is a calling. It is something that you do because you want to pay things forward. You want to help other people. Community is very important to spread the word, get the word out there.
Right.
And her follow-up question is actually about TikTok. How do you plan the content that you're going to do?
How do I plan it? So I learned this from Benjamin Law, and he said if you want to create consistent and quality content, your channel should have 3 types of content. So the first one should be educational. So this is content that teaches yung mga, what are the financial mistakes to avoid, what are the different types of insurances, because this builds your credibility, diba? And then the second type of content that you should have is content that's entertaining, right? It doesn't have to be comedic content. It just has to show your values. It allows your viewers to understand or know your character as a content creator. And then the third type of content should be engaging. So how I create engaging content is when I reply to my followers' questions. So I usually reply with a video feature. So if you go to my TikTok channel, as in, it's a mix of everything. It's not too heavy on education. I put in a few entertaining mga what do you call that, meme-like videos. And then I also respond to comments with a with a video feature. So you can see how it can't be too heavy on one, because if let's say my content is just all on teaching, diba, it's too technical, then to others you can seem like an intimidating person, right? Because sasabihin nila magaling siya, right? But parang hindi siya approachable. So I like to put in entertaining content every now and then, because it factors in that relatability to my followers, and at the same time they get to know me personally, basically who I am outside of being a financial advisor or a content creator. So I show like what Sean watched recently, a day in my life, mga ganon.
Yeah, very interesting.
So that's what
stuff.
I do. So how about you, Sean? Like, how do you your content then?
Right now,
I think by
nothing
delay ulit.
that. Yeah, I needed to hear your advice because I don't have anything entertaining there. I don't think I have anything yet that shows like who I am, like a day in my life content. I don't think I've ever done. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Like vlog type of videos.
yeah. I haven't. Maybe I think I've written like
I think you
about my morning
do.
routine. Yeah, but
No,
never
you
vlog.
do on your Instagram.
Oh yeah, yeah. Instagram. Yeah,
Like if
that's
Instagram, it's more personal. Though that's
yeah.
not like a business account for you, but if you go to his Instagram, you should follow him, by the way. He'll post pictures about his family, parang how he's also a father, the things that he likes to do, which is to travel, mga ganon. So again, hindi siya funny, pero it shows your character. That's what entertaining could mean. And you're
Yeah.
engaging your community by this live show, diba? You're answering your followers' questions, and at the same time it becomes a two-way interaction. So it's a mix of three naman.
Yeah, by the way, before I forget, dahil madalas kong makalimutan and pinapagalitan ako ng leadership staff team, no? We have a giveaway. So we're giving away 2 of my books as an ebook. So if you win, we'll just send it over to you via email. It's a PDF. Go to that link, leadme.ph/giveaway. You see the mechanics there. We made it super simple. And I think the deadline is July 14. So that's 2 weeks from now. You still have a really good chance to enter the giveaway. Again, super simple mechanics. I think you just need to share the YouTube channel and that's it. Check it out. And if you're interested, that's CEO22. Book right there. And then we have 50x your business for the giveaway as well. Okay, so yeah, Instagram. If you want to check out my Instagram, just look for Sean.c. That's my Instagram handle. And Tony, you're also on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I'm actually very active sa stories. So yeah, less business content. You'll see what I do also on a day-to-day basis, and I don't think my pictures have anything to do with finance too. So if you want to know me personally, I guess you can check out my feed on Instagram too. It's Antoinette Aquino.
There you go. Now, how does one create a prosperity mindset when you don't have enough money or are just living off your savings?
Okay. How do you create a prosperity mindset, Sean? Ikaw muna. Mag-iisip ako.
It came from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. That changed my perspective. So sabi ni Robert Kiyosaki dun sa book, the world is rich. It actually is very, very rich. If you look at the GDP of US, for example, how many $1 trillion per year yung naproproduce nilang business. And you look at the Philippines, how many billions of dollars yung GDP din natin, di ba? Hindi tayo trillions, but we're still like in a $1 billion scale. That's what we produce as a country. And so I thought, that's a lot of money, you know, that's a lot of money. How come people keep thinking na mahirap ang buhay, mahirap ang pera, mahirap ang trabaho, walang pera? Di ba parang madalas ko marinig yun eh. Growing up, I didn't grow up in a rich family. Actually, we're like, you know, we had enough to get by. And I would often hear that. From my parents na mahirap ang buhay, mahirap ang pera. And then when I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, I thought about, like saan napupunta yung $1 billion GDP ng Pilipinas? How can I also get into that GDP? Diba?
Mhm.
And what you have to do is really add value to yourself so you can add value to other people, and that's what the world will pay you for. That's my take on that.
Okay. So speaking of books, the book that changed my entire perspective about money is The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And I always promote this book, even though hindi naman ako paid to say this, but that was the very first book that, as you've said, ako dati wala talaga. Well, I did have a stable job, but I couldn't save. And I couldn't even save 5% of my annual income back then because I would always think na okay lang na I finish all the money I have because I know next month I'd be able to get it again. So I realized the error of my ways when I read that book, and I learned how you should change your money script. So you know how sometimes whenever we see, let's say, someone riding a sports car, we would always have that negative mindset or would think na ang yabang niya, diba? Usually, that's how we view people who had money back then. And sometimes we tell ourselves, oh, I'll never be able to afford that. So if you keep thinking this way, or if you maintain this perspective, then you will feel as if you'll never be as successful as your wealthy friends. And this is basically an example of having a negative money script. So your money script will shape the way you view about money. And that's why another part of having a good money script is to have a direction for your money. So your money needs to have direction. And that's why, as financial advisors, we do financial planning, because it's important when you have a plan for your money so that at least you'll be able to shift your direction. You'll know your biggest why, diba? On why you're saving, on why you're investing. So even if you don't have if you don't have enough savings, thinking na ito yung goal mo, you want to be financially free, you want to be able to work at a job that you love without worrying about money, then you will be more motivated, or you shift your mindset to abundance when you have a direction for your goals. So that's my take on it.
Really good stuff, no? We look at people who have $1 billion businesses, like mentioned, person with a Ferrari. And I remember lang Elon Musk tweeted this not so long ago na we tell people about the American dream. We tell people to work hard, to hustle, have a successful outlook of the future. And then once you become a billionaire, people start looking at you and saying, why don't you give that away? Or why do you have all the money? It's so ironic what's happening to, di ba? Parang, mahirap sa world that the mindset is generally wrong. And even here in the Philippines, we have the crab mentality, laganap daw. So,
Right.
and you look at people, feel like they don't understand me because they're rich. That money could have been used to donate to the poor or something like that, right? And it's sad, sad because they worked for that. It's not like, well, some did. It's not like they were like stealing it from the people, but
Right.
yeah, it's a case to case basis. But most people, they really worked hard for it, diba? So yeah,
Right. And I guess those misconceptions have a lot to do with how we were raised, yung upbringing. Ako kasi, I was born in quite a privileged family, but there was a point when we lost it all. So from having that comfortable lifestyle, we had to make a dramatic shift. So from a house, we had to move into an apartment that was only good for one person. Studio apartment lang siya, but we were 5 in the family, and I had to sleep on the floor. So, and nung time na yon, my mom still had that mindset na when money comes, we have to spend it. So even then, when we were so broke, she kept spending on bags, she kept spending on luxurious things, and dun ko na parang ayun nga, your environment really affects the way you spend money, and that's why there is still a possibility for you to shift that. You keep surrounding yourself with with people who are going to push you to shift into that mindset. So that's why I'm super thankful that right now I have a circle of friends who are just as motivated as me to make money, to invest money, and ayun. So it also has a lot to do with your circle of friends. Kaya nga sabi nila, diba, your network is your net worth.
Yes, tama yan. Kaya ako malapit ako kay kanila Marvin, kanila Jason.
Super honor naman na friends ako with Sean also. Malay mo, I might see you at 21. Pwede din, diba? Or baka 22. One more year. O, diba?
Yon, okay. Guys, alam niyo na kung yung edad ni Tony, ayan.
Nga pala, okay. Ayun. So,
But yeah, really good stuff. And I think, at your age, doing what you do, you probably blow past whatever it is that I've been able to also do during that time. I mean, the book CEO 22 sounds great, but if you saw me in my parents' attic trying to start SEO Hacker, it's nothing glorious at all. It's not like I had a fully air-conditioned office, carpeted. Wala lahat yun. So it's really grind, hard work and getting to know people. Kagaya nga na sabi ni Tony, that's very important.
Exactly. And actually hearing Sean's story helps a lot, because when we see successful people, the millionaires or billionaires, we see them at their highest peak. But you get to learn a lot more from their struggles, their journey on how they came to be. And that helps you realize na okay, so kailangan pagdaanan to, na this is just part of the process. And yeah, so I know some of you are familiar with Sean's story, and when I remember na back then, yun nga, like you were broke and you were with your girlfriend who's now your wife, parang nakaka-inspire in that sense.
Yeah. One of the things that I always share when people ask, like, how do you become successful? I tell them, don't ask how a sausage is made while you're eating one. So if you want to know how to be successful, what makes success, it's a lot of failures. That's really what makes success. If you're failure averse, don't think that you're gonna be able to achieve your picture of success. You'll get by, for sure. You'll get by, but don't think you'll achieve your picture of success. So a lot of failure goes into it. Tony, I'm sure you've had your share to be where you are now, diba? Yeah. Nakikita ko yung mga ibang TikTok content na dati ito yung mga sinasabi nila, pero ngayon, diba?
mga glow up stories, kasi diba usually yung common question that we get even as content creators about how to be you po, and then whenever they see me now, parang they envision someone na sobrang independent, ang galing. So what I like to do is I like posting content of me when I was super bad. Like I remember posting a TikTok video of me when I would have a blackout. I would cry after a talk, or every time I would do public speaking, because I was never as good as I am now. Although I'm not saying I'm good now, but back then talagang it was really bad. I had a stutter problem and all of these things. So when I show people that side, it actually inspires them that there is hope to improve, diba?
Yeah. We're people too, We're people too.
True.
Here's a follow-up question. How much is too much to pay for self-improvement? What are the factors to consider before enrolling in a high-ticket course or hiring a mentor or coach? Okay to.
Interesting. Well, sige, ako muna.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Ako kasi, in my experience, I've never paid for a coach or a I never hired one. Although I do know that there are people who accept mentees and then there's like a fee in exchange. But I actually allocate a portion of my income to my education fund. So sa fund na yon, I know that, like, for example, if I come across a seminar, a paid talk, or a course that I want to be a part of, then I just tap into that fund, because yung pera na yan, alam ko na nakalaan talaga siya for that purpose. So it's a bucket that I replenish every month, so that if in case I come across ayun nga, like a mentor that I want to hire or a course, I can just tap into that fund. So I guess it really depends on how much of your income you're willing to budget for that. But in your case, ikaw, since you are a mentor to a million already, so
No,
what do you have to say about that?
actually, it's funny because a lot of people ask me to if I can mentor them, but I have rules if you want me to mentor you. It's not a lot. It's just three rules. Number one, what did you do about what we talked about? If we had the session already, what did you do about it? Because if you didn't do anything about it, then don't ask me to be your mentor. We can be friends, but not a mentor-mentee relationship, right?
Mhm.
Number two would be um, ask me your questions. So before we meet, I require you to have a list of 10, 20 questions, or 5 questions, whatever it is you want to learn, and that's it. And number three would be, when do you plan to apply all of these things? So it could be like questions first, when do you plan to apply? And then sa next meeting natin, okay, what did you do? Ganun lang. But it's actually quite simple how I mentor people. But if that isn't followed, then we shouldn't be mentor mentee. And then
Mhm.
I also don't book you. Usually as the mentee, you book the mentor. You ask for the time. And before the pandemic, when I asked people for their time to mentor me in a certain area that I want to grow into, for example, I vividly remember asking David Bonifacio of the Coffee Bean Group. I forgot the name specifically of what the group they are now, but he works with the Coffee Bean Group. I asked him, why did you sell your company to them and became part of their board? Because you could have done it your own way. You could have just bootstrapped, because you had the bootstrap money. And I learned about stocks and shares and his decision and how on why he did that, and if he could do it all over again, what he would do differently. I learned a lot actually in that 1 hour mentorship. I told him, just 1 hour, I'll buy you lunch. Let's meet. I'll go to you in your office. And he said yes. Didn't cost me anything. Couple of months ago, I hit the president of Sante Barley, Mr. Joey Marcelo, and I had two mentorship meetings with him already. I asked him, how do you do your performance bonuses? Very big deal for me because I want to give performance bonus to my people, but I had no idea how to compute it. I was missing so many parts of the equation na I don't know how to piece it together. Paano nga ba? Paano nga ba kung bibigay performance bonus? Paano ba kino-compute yun? I'm an idiot when it comes to that. I asked him. I learned it from him. Really good stuff. He was gracious enough to even give me an hour and a half of his time in one session. That was really good. And then we're also, this year, we're planning to professionalize. So it's the first time we're considering hiring an executive, an AVP, an assistant vice president to join the team. And I had no idea. Again, I'm an idiot when it comes to that. So I hit up the president of the Alaland International, Miss Ana Tatlonghari, and I
Wow.
asked her, "Hey, can you give me 1 hour of your time?" And she's like, "Of course,
She's game
awesome."
naman.
Yeah, I spoke at their event like 3-4 years ago, and she's game, and I learned a lot. How they hire, their culture. Ang galing ng Ayala Land. Wala akong masabi, hands down. And right now, we're trying to figure out how we're gonna meld that in SEO Hacker. And guys, here's the thing: I didn't pay anything for any of that. I didn't pay anything, but I love these people. They know if I could pay them, I would, but they didn't ask for my money. And this is because these are people who also love helping other people. Now, nothing wrong in paying for self-improvement, having an education fund like Tony. Actually, I would recommend you have that, because when an opportunity comes that there's a really, really good webinar that you can enroll in, or a really good coach or mentor that you can get, might be life-changing. But do your research first. Okay ba talaga tong tao na to? Does he or she have a heart really to help people, or namimera lang? Kasi may mga ganun, maraming gurus na medyo con artist, no? So there's a lot. I'm not gonna name any. I'm just gonna tell you, do your research. But self-improvement, you could pay nothing and grow like I did. I'd say leaps and bounds. Or maybe you're wondering, Sean, you paid for your John Maxwell certification. That's also a lot of money. Yes, I did. And what I wanted there was the content. Ang dami nilang kwento. And now I can use all of the content for my talks. The certification is nice, saying that I'm a John Maxwell certified coach and speaker. That's nice. But the content, me incorporating that in my talks, it's what's really important for me. Because I'm learning it, I'm listening to his stuff. I've read a lot of his books. I've been a fan since I was 13. And I'm still learning today. And that stuff, if I can put it in my webinars and in my Leadership Stack lives, that's gold. I bought something that's a lot more valuable for me. Which reminds me, before I forget.
Wow. So that's
yeah, we have a webinar this July 17 entitled Grow and Balance Your Life. Grow and balance your life. That's the link right there, leadme.ph/grow balance. Malapit na. It's just 950 pesos. Not a lot, not a huge investment in yourself. It's less than 1,000 pesos. And you can join for 2 hours yon. 2 hours, I'll be speaking live and you can ask questions there after the webinar. It's Saturday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So eat your dinner early.
It's actually, speaking of certifications and webinars, like what you said earlier, there's this masterclass for financial advisors by Randall Tiongson. And I saw the list of speakers. Nandun si Marvin Guillermo, Rex Mendoza, Dr. Alvin Ang. And like as soon as I saw the enrollment phase was out, I was like, take my money, diba? Because it's, of course, you're going to get your money's worth if sino pa ba, diba? And I guess in your case, it's true na you don't need to pay for a mentor because usually the mentors that I, ask help from, they're quite big, diba? Ano na sila, big names in the industry. So, ano pa ba yung money na ibibigay? So, they have all the money that you could ever imagine. So, I guess like what you've said, a lot of them are willing to help people. It's just that you have to also take the courage to step out and reach out to them, diba?
Yeah, all it takes is guts, that's it. By the way, did you enroll na in Randall's masterclass?
Tapos na, I did back in April. I'm already done with the course. Super worth it. And I'm not even paid to say this also. I just think you guys, if you're planning to enter the industry, even for those who are still, ready to be coded as FAs, you should definitely join that masterclass. It's a must. And when you finish it, you also get your AFP certification. So,
wow.
Yan.
Well, hit me up next time. He's a good friend of mine. Maybe I could tap him and say, hey, and connect you guys. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. All right. So hope we answered that question. Can I teach myself how to trade and rely on free content and communities online? What are the benefits of enrolling in a trading academy? I have never enrolled in one. How about you?
I have not, but I know a few content creators who started out by just watching YouTube videos, reading books, but eventually when they started growing their community, they had to take courses. They had to join trading academies because building your credibility is part of it also. And, I learned this from my client who's also a fitness coach. I think he's also tuned in. And he talked about how he does most of his sessions via Zoom. And bakit di na lang mag-YouTube, diba? Like, sure, you can watch workout videos on YouTube, but when you have a coach or if you have a mentor in let's say a community, then there's also that you also get the accountability factor. And at the same time, at least the way you learn will be personalized based on your pacing, diba? I mean, yeah, sure, you can do it yourself, but at the same time, it will be difficult to track your progress. Diba? If you have any inquiries or questions, you just you have Google as your friend. But for me, I would say you can start with that. And then if you feel confident or if you research about the Trading Academy, you saw the reviews, it's worth it naman, then I'd say you should try it out, diba?
Yeah.
What's your take on that, Sean?
I remember I've been to one trading course workshop. That's Marvin Germo's Stock Smarts
Stock
workshop.
smarts.
Yeah, highly recommended. Highly recommend. Everything I know about stock trading came from Marvin Germo, and the books that I read, like Warren Buffett's. Oh no, that's not. He didn't write that book, but it's titled Buffettology, written by his daughter-in-law, I think, or ex-daughter-in-law, something like that. That's a really good book as well. Otherwise, if you
Right,
want to do
right.
it right, do it well. Marvin Stock Smarts, can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah. And on top of that, you can also check out Trading Like a Stock Market Wizard by Mark Miniveri. I hope I pronounced that right. So that's like a Bible for traders. Everything that you want to know about chart patterns, about trading, you'll find it in that book. So normally you start with that and then you can explore trading courses that are paid. Ayan.
There you go. From Vian, yes, Go Trade. All right. She's also using Go Trade. Let me just
Hello.
go through all my
Nawala
shout
yata.
out. Santino Rosales, that's my mentor. All right. Gonna rewatch this from Nino. Thanks, Nino, for being here.
Wow.
Happy you're here. We get to see
I'm seeing
different.
familiar faces here. Si Nino, si Santi.
Yeah. Michelle Ann Lopez, thank you for being here. Glad you're here tonight. Wow. JC Pabulos, thank you sa Financial Literacy Group at kay Enery. Oh, shout out to Enery. Been in his podcast, no, not podcast, but show just a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
There you go. What's up, Nazim? Thanks
Hi,
for being here.
Nazim. Welcome.
All right. I guess we're gonna take this last question, or maybe second to the last question, because meron pang client call, and yeah, busy night, huh? How do I build my team, expand my brand, and connect with more people? Are you building your team now, Tony?
Yes, so I have around 25, some that are yet to be coded. And yeah, I would love to hear that advice from you. I'm sure I'd learn a lot.
Oh, build my team. First off, one of my biggest mistakes is I didn't take time to screen them when I was hiring. So I hired because I needed people. That's a really bad reason for hiring. You should hire before you need a position filled, because the screening time should be enough for you to get to really know the person. There's a lot of ways to hire. I recently recorded a guest in the Leadership Stack podcast on Spotify. His name is Dancho Dimkov, and he's from Macedonia. And he's like, oh, when we hire, we just get like the 4 or 5 applicants, and we get them all, and we give them a project, and we check who's gonna be fit in our culture, and then we just get those who are good fit, and we get rid of the others. So I'm not saying that there's a one holy grail way to hire, but it would really depend on what you need and what your company is like. I can't do it the way he does, because we have big accounts. We can't like give account A, which is a very very big mall here in the Philippines, to this account manager, and then hindi pala siya fit, palitan natin. Of course, it's gonna piss the client off, and we don't want that to happen. We might lose the account. So in our case, we really take our time screening people. I guess when you're building a team, you want people who have a certain calling deep inside them.
Right.
May mga ibang tao, you ask them, what are you doing? Oh, I'm laying bricks on top of each other. And then there's some people, you ask them, what are you doing? And they'd say, oh, I'm building a cathedral. And then there are some people, you ask them, what are you doing? Oh, I'm building the house of God. I want to hire that last person, not the first one na, oh, I'm just laying bricks on top of one another. And so often we hired that first person who's just laying bricks on top of one another. Ganun lang yung tingin niya sa trabaho niya, because we don't take the time to screen them. So for me, the first step is take the time in hiring people. Expanding your brand is all about consistency. So with SEO Hacker, our branding is all about quality and extra mile service. And of course, we rank number 1 or first page for a lot of keywords in my industry. We dominate it. We have so many clients in the Philippines that are really, really good brands, big companies, and we made them rank number one or first page. And we have proven ourselves time and again. So if you think about SEO, it's SEO Hacker here in the Philippines. At least we're number one here in the country, and you're consistent with that. You don't change your positioning bigla na we're number one, not just in SEO but in traditional marketing as well. No, we don't do that. We just say when it comes to SEO, we're number one. We don't even say we're the best in social media marketing. We're just saying when it comes to SEO, we're number one. That's it. So be consistent with your branding. A lot of lessons as well with Nike and Adidas. Nike has been the same. It's the check logo. Just do it has always been the tagline. With Adidas, I like their tagline, impossible is nothing. But after that, they changed it. I think the year after, they're not so consistent with that. And so I don't even know what their tagline is right now, right? So good branding, be consistent. Connecting with people is all about humility. For me, it's all about humility. Because a lot of people don't try to connect with another person because nahihiya or na they feel like it's beneath them. So when you feel like connecting with people is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you and you can't lead. Leadership is beyond you and you will not be able to lead when you cannot connect with people. So it's about being humble, knowing who you are, and knowing na, yun, sabi nga namin ni Tony kanina, tao lang din. Tao lang din tayo. Diba? Whatever success we have been able to get through, at the end of the day, we're just another human being trying to help out another human being and trying to make our way in the world. Diba? So be humble and you'll be able to connect with everyone, I'd say, everyone. No secret to that. There's no secret to that. Yeah, those are my tips. Hopefully that helps.
And I can attest to that also. And that's why Sean is really one of the people that I look up to. Yes, number one sila talaga sa SEO. And that's why my website is also being handled by them. Thank you again to Sean and his team. Ayun.
There you go. So yeah, excited for that to be launched. Hopefully very, very soon. And you will definitely know when Tony's site is live. Money Health Check. At that, it's 9 p.m. That's all the time we have tonight. Maybe next time we have Tony, we could go a little bit overtime again at 10 p.m. But tonight's a busy night, and we love that you guys are here. Thank you so much. Meron ba ako na-miss na shoutouts? Wala naman. All right. So guys, do not forget, please follow Tony on TikTok. There's the link, tiktok.com/Antoinette Aquino. And if you haven't checked it out yet, we have the webinar this July 17. So 2 weeks from now na lang to. Leadme.ph/growbalance. That is grow and balance your life. If you feel like medyo spinning out of place ka ngayong pandemic, maraming inconsistency sa life mo, maraming ups and downs. No? And a lot of people feel that way. I created the webinar exactly for that reason. And if you haven't joined the giveaway, we're giving away 2 of my books. Not against my will, but that my team told me we should give away 2 of my books. No? So no, I'm just kidding, but you can win it. Mechanics are super, super simple. Hope you join. And hope you learned a lot tonight. I know I did from Tony. Tony, thank you so much for being here and joining me again tonight.
Of course. Thank you again for having me. Again, if you have any insights that you'd like to share, go share this live show or post your learnings on your social media platforms. Again, the links are in the description box, I think.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We are Leadership Stack live every 8 p.m. Thursdays, and I will see you guys next week.
What you want people to do is to tell you when you aren't living up to those things that you're working on, and that you will take that feedback, listen to it, ask questions, not get defensive, and start to implement it. And then you, the person, have to do that. But you have to enroll people in by sharing and saying something like that to get people to do that.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22.
And it's all rooted in trust. And I found that the key thing then is understanding is you have to build people who trust each other at an extremely high level and are willing to take leaps of faith and risk together as a group and have everyone buy into that.
Now, what do you think are the things that keep leaders and entrepreneurs from being their best self? What is keeping them from being successful? So having the right company culture is something that is elusive. Not a lot of entrepreneurs do this. Not a lot of entrepreneurs invest in this. And a big reason why is because it's just not measurable in terms of ROI. That is one big reason. But I want to know, what are the things that keep the leaders, the top people in an organization, from being their best self and thus hindering their success?
I would say to you the first thing is lack of self-awareness. Because the problem tends to be is the more successful you are, the less people will tell you the truth and that you will listen to them. And that a lot of times your blind spots that you're unaware of are the things that end up causing you the most problems. And pretty much I found that universal. Typically historical patterns that stem back from things that we've done as a child or learned, right? And that's how we play it forward. So an example of something like that would be, so I've had leaders, similar example happened to quite a few people. It's the people around them think that they're not listening, right? They're not hearing them. And the leaders believe that they are, that they're getting that feedback and they just can't fix it and they don't really understand it. And it becomes a huge challenge in order for them to operate as a business, right? And so they end up having, they're having problems because of all this. And so a lot of the times what I found is when I've gone back and talked to a leader, they've grown up in households of larger families. And what ends up happening there is in order to get mom's and dad's attention, they'll have to yell over siblings. They'll have to get in their way. And they won't really understand the value of listening. Because when they listen, they don't get anything. They have to talk over everyone to be heard to get what they want. Well, the problem with that is then it helped them, but now it's sabotaging their success. So they're unaware of their pattern, and it recreates itself in business, right? A lot of times makes good salespeople is that they don't necessarily listen as well, in the sense that they don't take no for an answer and they find a way around it, right? And they can talk the other person into a deal. Well, the problem now is when you're leading people, if you don't listen to them and value them and hear them, they start to reject and avoid you and dislike you. And that causes a lot of problems. Well, when you give people negative feedback, they tend to not like that and recoil because it's a function in your brain about how we see the world. So when you show people a pattern, they're much more receptive to it because then they know that it's neither good nor bad. It's something that they've done because they learned it from something else that has just happened over time. And so a lot of that is really helping people understand their own beliefs, values, framework for seeing the world, and showing them places that it's really getting in their own way. Because like I said before, the other problem is because of that is the people around them. Like if you're the CEO of a company, who's sitting you down to tell you that you're making a mistake and why, right? I mean, the only time you may be doing that is a board may be doing that, but that's in a really conflict-driven way. They're not usually giving you feedback in a positive way to be helpful. They're giving you negative things, right? And the people that you're managing aren't going to most likely, rarely come in your office and try to give you feedback and do that because they're worried about losing their job or some repercussions in their career. So there's not a lot of people that are telling you the truth and sharing with you information and feedback. And that really is the first place where people don't really do that. I would say the other thing that happens is that people don't invest in learning management and leadership skills, right? And these are all learned behaviors. And no baby comes out of the womb and is a great leader, right? You learn this. And you have to invest and learn these things in order to become better. because these are soft skills, right? These are not stuff that you can learn SEO at some level by watching a computer program. Now, putting it all together, you have to do it, but you can learn SEO from it. You can't learn how to manage other people from watching a video alone. I mean, there's a lot more into it, but you have to put all these things together. I would say the third thing is really people don't understand the value of teamwork, and that it is a company strategy to get people to work together and do it in a way that's effective, because all of the conflict and not getting along creates disruption, slows down processes, people miss deadlines, right? And all these other things start to happen across. So I think it's teaching people and learning yourself, how do you do great teamwork and how do you keep people, collaborating? And I think that part of it is really the challenge, because I look at a business itself and I look at like the human behavior and the people element moves along with the strategy part, and then that equals an extraordinary business. But a lot of people look at, I've got the business itself and the business strategy and how I'm making money is here, and then the people aspect is down here. And that's not how the equation works. And that's how a lot of people view it, or that's how they live it out. And the problem comes is that every business is about the people, and they have to execute it. And almost you could argue every business today is a service-based business. And so all of these skills and the people aspect are paramount to being successful. And if you don't take that in consideration, like that's where people miss. And that's the thing they leave out of business school. They don't teach enough of and how to do it. And people just don't invest in it. Some of it's because of their ego. And some of it is they don't know what they don't know and aren't willing to learn it. So I tell everyone, like, that's how you can create and scale businesses way faster, way quicker, with way less people, and be way more competitive. It's about the team and how do you get them to work and get the best out of them.
You mentioned earlier that self-awareness is important. Now I'm wondering, what if there's an entrepreneur who's self-aware, aware of his blind spots or her blind spots? And you mentioned also that people aren't just going to be telling you the truth because they're afraid of their career impact. I'm wondering, is there a way for people to go ahead and do that? Like, tell you that these are your blind spots and you have to work on them, or you're already aware of your blind spots and people will go ahead and tell you that, hey, you did it again here, and I just wanted you to know because I know you want to improve. How does a CEO or a CEO founder enable or empower his people or her people to do that?
Well, one, I think that you share with people the importance of understanding the things that you aren't great at, and that everyone has things to work on, and that our job here is to get better, right? It's not to be perfect, it's to get better every day. And just because I'm the CEO or founder of this business doesn't mean I have it all figured out. In fact, I don't. I'm learning every day just like you. And then you articulate to people the challenges, a couple of the challenges that you are having, that you are aware of, because you want to keep yourself accountable, right? And that you have things you have to work on. And what you want people to do is to tell you when you aren't living up to those things that you're working on, and that you will take that feedback, listen to it, ask questions, not get defensive, and start to implement it. And then you, the person, have to do that. But you have to enroll people in by sharing and saying something like that to get people to do that. And then you have to execute that, meaning when they give you the feedback, if you're defensive, then they're not going to tell you, because then they're going to be fearful that you're going to get mad at them. So you have to be willing to take the feedback and implement those types of things, right? And that's an easy way. Now, another way I have clients do it to make sure that it's happening, because you may say that to people, but you're not really sure whether they're actually going to do it or not. So sometimes you have to be more proactive than that. So I had people, clients of mine, do an exercise, which is a relationship check-in, right? I call it. And I have them do that with the people that they manage. And they can also do it with peers, and you can do it with the person that manages you as well. It really is you can do it in any direction. But it's to ask a question: how would you rate our relationship right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being poor, 10 being extraordinary. Why did you rate that? And then how can I move it closer to a 10? And you can ask any clarifying questions that you want to know in more information. And then when someone gets done with that, you can agree with them, you can disagree with them, but you come with a plan to start to move things forward. And then it allows someone to give you feedback that is helpful for you, because it will change over time. So I have people ask the question, every month or every 2 months, because not all the time is someone going to give you a really high number. There could be a problem going on, but then you learn it, right? You understand it, and you're keeping a dialogue open, and you're understanding the other person's viewpoint, which is practicing empathy, which is important, because otherwise you may think you're doing a great job, but you're unaware that other people don't think that you are. Well, that's the worst place to be, right? It is not having it calibrated where people's expectations and view of you differs from what you think it is. And that happens all the time, right? So you have to have some check and balance in that. And that's another way that you can do that, to keep yourself accountable to other people and to keep them accountable to you, by also forcing them to be honest and real with you, right? And that also helps, because it keeps an open dialogue of vulnerability and having real conversations with people, other than hiding it or not talking about it or avoiding it, which never helped or served anyone.
That is something that I am personally going to practice, that kind of NPS or Net Promoter Score for your relationship with other people. That kind of feedback is important. And sometimes it's just that people don't know where to start with giving you feedback. And that actually is a really good starting point.
I mean, I think the challenge is, you're right. When you have people ask each other questions and you do it in a group, a lot of the times people want to open up and share and tell you who they are. They just don't know how. And they aren't giving an avenue, and they just can't come up with the questions out of the blue and bring them up. It seems really weird or odd, or like, how do you do that? So you as a business have to start institutionalizing some of this and keeping them and starting to introduce them as part of the way you do business, to allow people to share and to tell you the truth, and like to do the things that is going to help the business overall. And all of these things, right, are about creating a better balance sheet and making money and being successful, right? It all goes to the bottom line, because all of this stuff, that's how people work, right? People work harder, they'll work longer, they'll try to do the best possible job, because they want to be in a place and work for an organization that believes in these things, because most people don't have something like this and they haven't worked in there. So when you create it, right, it's like a magnet. They don't want to get away, because the fear that they might not find it again or find something as great as that. So that's another huge piece of this that works in people's favor by doing this, and will make an impact in their competitiveness in the marketplace, no matter what business you're in, no matter what you're doing.
When you negotiate, you are trying to get to a win-win solution. If it's going to be a win-lose, I say better no deal. Huwag na lang tayo mag-deal kung may win-lose lang. So it has to be a win-win situation.
One of the things that we believe in here in Islam, we believe that in order for you to gain the most the most value, is to share your knowledge, because if not, your knowledge will die with you. So I continuously share my knowledge. Whatever I know, I share.
I can imagine that this is what you were, you woke up to this realization one day when you were 21 years old. That's a very young age. It's also the time that I started my business at 21 years old, but not in the same, difficult conditions that you had. So tell me about what happened. Where was the switch from mourning, grieving, to waking up, to turning your assets, which is your laptop and your camera, into your first business?
Okay, so the switch happened when my mom took a part-time job as a cleaner. And because she didn't have working experience, she didn't have a high education level, that was all that she could do. So she could be a cleaner at a hotel.
Mhm.
And moms being moms, so when she come home, she come to wherever we are staying, she would, like massage the shoulder, massage the back. And then I ask, Mom, are you okay? And she'll be like, no, I'm okay. Yeah, I just have to do this. And you know that at that moment that your mom is just trying to be a mother. She's just hiding her feelings, she's hiding her pain, and she's going through what she have to go through, but she have to be strong in front of her kids. So that was my switch. That was the moment that I was like, I can't see my mom like this forever. It's not fair for her. So I have to do something. And I told her that I don't want to be a burden to her. So I told my mom that I don't want to be a burden to her and I want to find my own income. I know that I couldn't find a job. Actually, I applied for like lots of jobs. I applied for 3,000 over jobs. I didn't get a call back because I didn't
Wow.
have a university education after I dropped out. My highest level of qualification was just an A level, and for A level you can't get much. You can't do a lot of things, and also a lot of the things are kind of like part-time work, so they don't really resonate to what I needed at a point in time. So I told my mom I needed to do something. So I had a boyfriend and I told him that I cannot go through this anymore. So I've got this laptop, I've got this camera, and I have my iPhone. At that time it was iPhone 3, 3G. Yeah, and I told him like, what can I do with all of this? And he said like, okay, you might want to sell your iPhone, and from the money, you can set it aside. If you want to start a business, you can do that. Just keep it first. So I gave him my phone. I sold my phone. He found a place that got the highest value, and he lent me his like old smartphone. So I was using the phone all throughout the time. Then I told him, I have a camera. Should I sell this as well? He said, no, that doesn't make sense. So I had a laptop and I have a camera. So I told him, hey, I think we can do photo booth business because that was trending at that time. We can set up a photo booth company, we can set up a photo booth service, provide the service. We've got a laptop, we've got a camera, we are basically good to go. All we just need is a backdrop and some
Yeah.
props. So from the $200 to $300 that I got from selling my phone, then I told him about my camera and I also told him about my laptop. He told me to keep my money and he topped up another $700. So our capital was $1,000 to start off with. And then he said, okay, so I'm going to buy additional materials. I'm going to buy additional resources. With that money, we managed to buy a backdrop stand, one tripod, one small light, and one printer. So that was like luxury at that time. You're never going to get that now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we did that. And we got our first client. Our first client, like as you can see, I'm a Muslim, I wear a hijab, but my first client was a pub. They were having their launch event. And at that moment, I was questioning myself, like, should I take it? Like, should I do this or not? And then I told myself, like, if I don't do this, I don't have money to survive. So at this current situation, is a matter of survival. So I did it. I did it with my then boyfriend, now husband. Set up the business. We did our first project, and from that project, people discovered our talent, and people started offering us event photography gigs. So we got lots of event photography gigs. Then through the event photography gigs, we met even bigger clients. We got in touch with clients like a defense company called IHS Market. Then we also got in touch with other coaches and trainers who are working for even bigger companies. And that was when they started asking us lots of questions. So they started asking us things like, can you do video editing? Are you able to shoot a video for social media? Can you take some product photos for myself? At that point in time, for the first 3 years of my business, my answer was always yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I
at that
get that.
moment, even if you can't do it, you'll say yes, take it
Yeah.
on, and then figure out how you can do it in the later part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
That's exactly how the business started for the first 3 years. We were able to survive all throughout the 6 years now. We're turning to 7 years already.
Mhm.
And the main reason behind why we were able to do all that was simply because of that drive that
Mhm.
we have talent, we have skills, we have resources. If we don't
Mhm.
use it, then we're just gonna, it's just gonna go to waste. So now our largest clients include Prudential, UOB Bank, then IHS Market, like I shared earlier. So these are some of our biggest clients. And locally, we are serving some news agencies as well. So because of the privacy, I will not be able to say their names. Yeah. So
Sure.
we've done lots of projects, and we're so proud of where we have, where we have
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
You should be from humble beginnings, like, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. You always remember where you were, where you came from.
Yeah.
And because of that story, because of that timeline that you went through, you appreciate where you are right now, don't you?
Definitely. Totally appreciate the journey that I went through. And, even at the moment where I was homeless, I was struggling, I told myself that, hey, you have to look back and think that this is the struggle you have to go through so that in the future you have a story to tell. You have things to share with people. And
Yeah.
true enough, today that is the exact story that I share. And that story is so inspiring because it goes to show that you can be at the top of your life, but things just happen. You can go all the way down, but
Hmm.
it's a matter of whether you want to stay down or do you want to go up. So
That's
I
true.
made that decision to climb up back from where I was stuck in. Yeah, so that's me, I guess. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And kudos to your husband because he helped you out. That's amazing. That's
I'm so
amazing.
grateful for him as well. He's my business partner. He's my operations manager. He
Uh-huh.
does lots of the work in the company so that I can focus on Fempreneur Secrets.
Oh, that's good. So Blissful Studios is now 6 years. It's probably your bread and butter, right?
It is our bread and butter, definitely. So I have been running this business for the past 6 to 7 years, officially 6 years, but 7 years is the unofficial part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So with SEO Hacker, I also have a 1 year that's not official. I was a freelancer back then. And yeah, so I count that 1 year that I was a freelancer, but officially it's been 9 years already for me. If you'd like to know, I'm 31 years old, so you're pretty much in the same age, the same way we started up. My dad kicked me out of the house. I had 1,300 pesos. I was very thin during that time because 1,300 pesos would be somewhere, I don't know, 40 sing. Yeah, somewhere there. That's all I had to start with. But yeah, so this is not about me. Tell me about, so from Blissful Studios, you became a company that helped, consultants and coaches, which you mentioned earlier, and you shot videos, edited it for them, and that's been up 3 years and 9 months. So your company kind of evolved,
Yeah.
but what I'm interested in is how it transitioned to now Fempreneur Secrets, which is, I don't know, is it in any way related with Blissful and Co, or is it something that came about from something else?
Okay, so I would say that through my interactions with women that I serve as my clients, and then also some of the women that I met during networking events and also communities that we have here locally, I found that there was actually a common thread, which is every single woman would have to go through a huge range of challenges as they start
Mhm.
their business. At home would be the biggest challenge. Then when it comes to outside, when you are trying to deal with clients, we're trying to get on customers, even you are firefighting every single day trying to survive. So I feel that our challenges are different and they are so unique to women only.
Mhm.
Like you don't see men like talking about the challenge they face as a father. Like they
Mhm.
don't really talk about that.
Mhm.
But women face the challenge because the mom guilt is there if you have kids. I don't
Mhm.
have kids yet, but I totally feel the mom guilt when I leave my nephews and nieces. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I understand and I can relate with that mom guilt of trying to, when you want to go out, you want to work, you want to do business, and the purpose of the business is for your family, but
Mm.
every single time you're always laden with that guilt that, you know, I have to be there for my kids, I have to I
Yeah.
have to see them grow. So our challenges are very unique, and
Mm.
that kind of like inspired me. Of course, on top of my own personal experience, seeing how my mother, you know, she had very little knowledge about business. She wasn't able to take over my father's company, and she wasn't able to know what was the next step in life. So I realized that business knowledge is so important. And if you want to start a business, there's definitely lots of things that you can do. And yeah, but as a woman, definitely the challenges that we go through, even to start a business, can be quite crazy. So
So with this idea, because I'm thinking it must go deeper than that, right? And you mentioned it earlier, like you remember that time with your mom. That is the, I would say, the root of this inspiration when you started Fempreneur Secrets. But what I want to know is, you had that root, you had that passion in you, it was burning. But what was the trigger that just told you, okay, I'm doing this?
okay, so when we talk about the trigger,
Mhm,
the trigger was depression. So I shared with you earlier also that I went through depression after my father passed away. I
mhm,
really didn't know that it was called depression, so I was going through it for a few years. Then when I got married, I went through depression again. And the only reason, because you know, when change happens in life, you just don't know how to adapt. You're trying to adapt to things. So if you have gone through depression before, it tends to reel its way back in an uncertain environment. So
mhm,
I was going through depression during that period of time, and I felt that I needed a way, I needed an outlet. So I love to teach. From when I was very young, if my parents asked me what I want to be when I grew up, my answer will always be a teacher. But I didn't like to teach the conventional academic route. I tried it and I
uh,
hate it. So I did relief teaching when I was younger. I didn't like it at all because I felt that I don't resonate with the content that is being shared. Academia is just not for me. But when I share about business, when some people ask me for business advice, or